Hello, everybody. I'm Evan Kamiko, and this is the Toss Up. Each week, join myself and an expert line panel dissect the latest sports news from some of the nation's most elite college programs here in Bloomington to the biggest stadiums and stages around the world. Major League Baseball is back, and this week, we're breaking it all down. Stick around because we got a great show for you coming up on the Toss Up. Later in the show, Mason Williams joins us for my personal favorite segment, Hoosiers in the Pros. And for now, we have an amazing panel that includes Kevin Vera, Amanda Foster, and Josh Bodie here to break down all things MLB with opening weekend just getting started. Amanda, Kevin, Josh, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So before we even start, you got the World Series right last year. You said the Braves were going to win. Big shoes to fill this year.
I know, I'm a little nervous, but I think I got the right pick.
Anyway, Kev, we'll start with you. Who is the most improved team this offseason?
I'm going to go with Seattle Mariners. They just missed the playoffs last year, but they got the AL Cy Young winner with Robbie Ray, and they got Jesse Winker and then Eugenio Suarez. So I think they finally, after this whole time, after missing the playoffs for 374 years, I think they finally make it, and I think they're one of the better teams in the AL.
Mm-hmm. Amanda.
So here's the thing, that on paper there are some teams that look like they should be good, like the Mets, and then they already get hurt and they're not the most improved in my opinion. So I'm going to go with the Twins. They got Carlos Correa and Gio Urshela over the offseason, and they extended Byron Buxton. I think that they have a good solid core lineup there that they can use to fix up the infield and all of the problems that they had last year. And then I think they're going to be good.
And Gary Sanchez too. Huge piece behind the plate though.
Yes.
And they had Mitch Garver, whatever.
Right.
Josh, what about you?
I like the Mariners. I'm going to agree with Kevin. He said Robbie Ray and the two Reds guys, great points as well. But also Jared Kelenic looked a lot better in September, so he's got a season under his belt. Kyle Lewis will be back from injury. Logan Gilbert had a part of the season last year, so they're young guys that are more experienced now. I think the Mariners put it together and make the playoffs this year.
I'm going to go with the Rangers. I think this is a team, they were bad last year. I still think they're not going to be great this year because of how tough the AL is and just in general how deep the AL is. But you spent over, $600 million on your middle infield between Marcus Semien and Corey Seager. So automatically when you put two all-stars in the middle of the infield, you're obviously going to be one of the most improved teams because, I couldn't even name personally who they had just because I'm mainly blanking on it. But that's just a huge, huge step up for the Rangers. Anyway, continuing on. Josh, best division in baseball right now.
Oh, it's easily the AL East. They had 4 90-win teams last year. They could have 4 90-win teams again. The Orioles at the bottom, they're not good, but they're going to get some of their young guys up, so maybe they get a little competitive at the end of the year. But it's the Blue Jays at the top. They're going to be awesome. I expect them to win the division. Then you got the Red Sox have one of the best lineups in baseball. And then we're talking about the Yankees maybe getting 4th in the division, which is pretty crazy considering the talent that they have. So it's definitely the AL East.
And they could win 85 games and still be in 4th, which is absolutely nuts. Amanda, what about you?
Same thing, I agree. AL East, I don't think there's a question. I think it's widely expected that 4 out of the 5 teams are going to make the playoffs in one capacity or another. Like Josh said, the Orioles are kind of getting up to that point where they're going to be good, so they could be a little bit competitive this year. Who knows? But definitely the other 4 teams are going to go back and forth a whole lot, I think.
So they said the same one. Are you going to say anything different, or could I ask you a different question?
Kind of. I'm going to go NL East.
Okay.
Just simply because, do me a favor, take the Nationals, take the Marlins, throw them out the window.
I don't think you throw the Marlins out the window. Nationals maybe, Marlins,
no.
I don't know.
We'll take, I don't think they're going to do anything. But I think part of my reason is just because I think this is the most interesting division, just simply because, the Braves are looking to repeat. And then you have the Phillies with Castellanos now that are, they got that power bat that they want next to Harper. But then you have the Mets and, how busy they've been this offseason. So I think that 3-way battle for that division is going to be, in my opinion, the best in baseball.
Mm-hmm. Another division that you guys all missed on, the AL West. I think that's a division that's significantly improved. You have the newly middle infield Rangers, because that's pretty much all they're going to be until Jack Leiter comes up, because he's going to be fantastic. You You have the Mariners, who you guys have all mentioned already. Then you look at the Astros. Yeah, you lose Carlos Correa, but they got a young gun coming up at short that Jose Altuve especially is huge on. Then you have the Angels, which is a team that we haven't talked about yet, but that's Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, Anthony Rendon. Noah Syndergaard is an addition to that team on top of an already pretty decent staff, I would say. And I think that's only 4 of the 5 teams, and then whatever, the Athletics, you could throw them out the window. But that's a division, too, where 4 of those could potentially make it. It's a stretch, but it's reality, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. The Angels are probably going to be stars and scrubs again. I would love to watch Trout and Ohtani in the playoffs, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's the thing where there's a lot of the unknowns where in the past they've been expected to have this success and then they flatline. So, who knows?
Until I see the Angels actually get into the playoffs, I'm not going to put them in. That's all I have to say about them.
And really quickly, worst divisions, really quick. Name them off. Kev, what's your worst division?
Worst division, I would have to go. I mean, NL Central. They
I would
really
say
didn't
NL
do
Central,
anything.
too.
I agree, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
pains me to say it, but I mean, besides the Brewers, no one's really going to be. St. Louis didn't do anything. Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh. I mean, Chicago. I mean, they got Marcus Stroman. They
Transition
got a few
period.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think that's going to be much.
Let's jump back to the NL and AL East, because that's where all the fun is. Who do you think are going to win those divisions? Amanda, we'll start with you.
Okay, AL East, I'm going to say the Blue Jays. They're kind of just like stacked up and down the roster. And they were so good last year with, obviously you have Guerrero Jr., you have Bo Bichette, and they've acquired people over the offseason. And so I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with throughout. NL East, I'm going to go with the Phillies. They have Kyle Schwarber, they have Nick Castellanos, they have returning people. There's a lot of power that they can have hitting-wise that I think if they can tap into that and have it be consistent, then they're going to be really hard to beat.
My issue with that is their defense. The Phillies are not
That's
going
the
to be a
issue.
good defensive team.
That's the issue.
So I'm going to go Braves. I think are going to repeat. Like, how can they not? In the AL East, I'm going to go with the Rays. Shout out Tampa. Shout out Trisha Whitaker. Kevin.
I'm going to go Phillies as well, just simply because I think they finally are putting all the pieces. I think the question will be is can they outpitch New York? The Mets, I think, they have everything there, but, I mean, they're already hurt, and they're the Mets. So if the Phillies can pitch better than the Mets throughout the whole season, I'm going to go with Philadelphia.
Okay, and that's the NL. Who did you say was winning the AL?
The AL, I'm going to go with Toronto. I mean, I think, they just got everybody. I mean, Vlad is Vlad, Bo is Bo. I mean, I think Toronto's just going to take it away.
And they had what's his name from the A's too?
Matt
Chapman.
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 Yeah.
Thank you.
Matt Chapman.
Yep.
Yep.
Huge name. I was blanking on his first name, but Josh, who do you got winning the AL and the NL East?
It's got to be the Blue Jays. You guys mentioned their lineup. I'll throw the starting pitchers out there, too. They have great starting pitchers. They got Gausman in free agency. Alex Manoah is a great young guy as well. And they got Hyun-Jin Ryu and Jose Barrios coming back as well. So I got the Blue Jays definitely in the AL. In the NL, hands down, Braves. The Mets are going to Met. The Phillies, they have a terrible bullpen, bad defense, too. They have a really fun lineup. It'd be fun to see them in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to beat the Braves in the division, though.
All right, move on. Let's look at a specific player that benefited most from getting either traded this offseason or signed. Kevin, who do you think that player that benefited most from the offseason is?
I'm going to have to switch your question a little bit.
You can switch the question.
I'm going to have to go with somebody.
I'm going to ask you to leave the set, but you can sit down. Just kidding.
I'm going to go with the player that has put in the most work this offseason and that we've seen it pay off, Paul Goldschmidt. The man has been hitting near 500 during spring training. I think
That's what a biased Cardinals fan would say.
He had a little bit of a down year. We haven't seen him as dominant as he was in Arizona, but I think he's finally going to put on a show in St. Louis this year. I'm going to go with the all-star first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt.
Whatever. Amanda.
Okay, well, if you didn't like his answer, you might not like mine either, because I took a similar approach with the question, and I am going to say Rafael Devers, because he is batting. He batted 500 in spring training. He had 5 home runs, lots of RBIs, showed lots of power. Biased Red Sox fan, I don't care, because he still is up there on like the watch list of successful players that could really have something going this season. And so I think the offseason gave him a lot of time to kind of come into his own more.
See, like I could sit here and say Frank Schwindel, but I'm not going to. Josh, what's yours before I get
got
into
an
mine?
unbiased pick.
I like unbiased picks.
I got Carlos Correa. He's going to benefit from a PR standpoint. He gets out of Houston into Minnesota, who national media really doesn't talk about at all. So he's going to get out of the spotlight a little bit. He's making dough too. Huge contract. It has an opt-out after each year. So if it doesn't work out in Minnesota, he can leave, go somewhere else. And all he really has to do is perform up to the way he's done in Houston. I think he can get a longer deal as well after the offseason if he wants to.
I'm going to go, my player is going to be Chris Bryant. And yes, this is somewhat biased as a Cubs fan. But if you're really look, yeah, I know, I fell in the same trap. But the difference is I didn't pick him because he's on the Cubs still. I picked him because he actually benefits a lot. One, he's from Las Vegas. He moves back to the Rockies because that's closest to Vegas. It's the closest to where his family is. And two, with the altitude in Denver, he's going to mash. Like, there's no question about it. Could he hit 40-plus home runs? I think so. But there's not a lot there to help him. So at the end of the day, I don't think he benefits. Another player I do want to throw out, Sean Manaea, who got traded recently from the A's to the Padres. I think is going to benefit a lot because that rotation is very stacked. He's looking at the three right now because you have Darvish, Snell, and then Manaea. Manaea was dominant, I would say, on the Athletics. Injuries aside, was a very good pitcher. Adding that to the rotation, Padres, watch out for the Padres. That's something I'm even going to say. But before we go to break, last question. Amanda, we'll start with you on this one. Who is most likely going to get traded at the trade deadline?
I don't know. I was going to say Jose Ramirez, and then we found out that he got extended. So I had to come up with like a last minute thing. I think I wouldn't be surprised if I saw Eric Hosmer get traded from the Padres. There's been a little bit of rumors and stuff that he might be going. There was something that he might have gone to the Mets just a couple days ago. Obviously that fell through, but I wouldn't be surprised if before we hit the trade deadline they try to do something and move him around and get him out.
Yeah, him and Blake Snell are going to go try to find Nemo somewhere. Kev, what's your answer?
Well, I mean, Amanda beat me to it. I was going to go with Eric Hosmer. I think I remember being a little kid sitting in front of the computer, and I saw when he signed with the Padres, and immediately I said that contract is going to be a problem for the next couple years. And look at what's happened. I mean, the way the Padres are going forward and the way they want to have a young, bright future, I think although he's a good clubhouse guy, I think the contract just and the way he's older than a lot of players on the Padres. I just think he's got to go out the door.
I'm going to say Jason Hayward. I think that very similar reason. The contract is huge. Cubs also have a lot of young guys who they're trying to bring up. Brendan Davis, Clint Frazier has looked really good in spring training, so we'll see how that carries over. But I would keep an eye on Hayward. Josh, round us out.
I think I'm going to go with the Guardians starting pitcher. I don't know who, maybe Bieber. That would be really cool to see Bieber on a new team. Maybe Plesac or Savali. There was a really good arms that would really help out contending teams. And we've seen the Guardians make moves with their young-ish starting pitchers. You saw Mike Clevenger get traded with a lot of years left in his contract. So I think the Guardians will be active at the trade deadline.
Well, Josh, Amanda, Kevin, stick around because coming up after the break, Mason Williams is here with everyone's favorite segment, Hoosiers in the Pros. Then we make our postseason predictions that are sure to be wrong. Oh well, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Now up is my favorite segment, Hoosiers in the Pros. Mason, you're up in the box.
Thanks, Evan. Opening day is one of my favorite days of the year, so let's check out where some past Hoosiers are celebrating the holiday heading into the new season. After spending time with the Padres and Giants, outfielder Alex Dickerson has signed with the defending champion Atlanta Braves. Dickerson will add needed depth to an already stacked outfield in Atlanta. Also, after making his Major League debut last season, Cubs reliever Scott F. Ross has progressed well through spring training and has hopes of solidifying a spot on the roster at some point throughout the year. First baseman Sam Travis has been spending time the last couple of seasons in the Mariners organization, but is currently a free agent. Pitcher Caleb Barajar is looking for secure time in the Giants organization, and Aaron Slegers is a pitcher in the Tampa Bay organization. Of course, we can't forget about IU's crown jewel in the big leagues, Kyle Schwarber. The 2016 World Series champ has spent time with the Cubs, Nationals, and Red Sox before hitting the open market this offseason. Schwarber has now found himself a home in Philadelphia, signing a 4-year deal worth $79 million with the Phillies. He looks to be another powerful bat to what is all of a sudden a very dangerous team in the city of brotherly love. To all of the players I just mentioned, as well as the countless alums currently progressing through the ranks of pro ball, good luck and go Hoosiers. Evan, back to you.
Thanks, Mason. Time to make our postseason predictions that will definitely, for me, be wrong because I am wrong every time I say something on the show. Let's start it up. Kevin, AL and NL MVP prediction.
So, thinking about the AL, I didn't have anybody that struck out to me. I'm gonna go with Mike Trout. I think Mike Trout. Don't shoot me, but is the greatest baseball player of all time.
Nobody's shooting you.
But I think he comes back. I think he adds the Mike Trout element to his Angels ball club. But I mean, it could easily be Ohtani. It could be we could see a pitcher throw in there, whatever it might be. My lock for the MVP though, for the NL, is Juan Soto. I think finally it's his. He has that World Series ring. He's got those years under his belt. I think finally he kind of takes the spot of the best player in the major leagues for the couple years next to come.
Amanda?
Well, I had Juan Soto too. I don't really have that much to add. I think he is pretty widely expected to at least be at the top because he's Juan Soto. He just does what he does, and he stands out, and he's great. For the American League, and I might be showing some of my bias, but this isn't from a biased standpoint. I'm going to go with Xander Bogaerts because he, like I said earlier about Rafael Devers, has had time to kind of really grow his skills in the offseason and perfect the small things that he could have been missing earlier that could move him up into that MVP spot. He's very discounted. Not a lot of people think of him as one of the top players, but I think he is. I watch him all the time, but also he is one of the best shortstops out there. And I think that this could be finally the season that really brings a lot of recognition for him and for the Red Sox as a whole.
Josh?
I love the Juan Soto picks in the NL. I'm going to go with him as well. He's probably maybe the most disciplined hitter in the league, maybe the best hitter in the league, and I don't think there's really anyone in the NL that's going to catch up with him this season. In the AL, I'm going to go Vladdy. I would love to see Trout play a full season, but the injury bug is concerning. Ohtani, I would love to see him duplicate it, but I don't know if he's going to. And I'm a big Vlad fan, so I'd love to see Vladdy win it all in the American League.
Great pick.
I'm going to say in the AL, I'm actually going to go with Shohei. I think that he, because of the way that the rule changes are, and now that, the DH can stay in the lineup even when he's done pitching. So that allows Ohtani to get those at-bats even on days when he's pitching, when he's done on the bump. And I think that definitely helps his batting average because he'll get to see more at-bats than just getting pulled. I think in the NL, let's go Freddie Freeman. I think that he, World Series MVP last year, I think he finds a really good home in LA, somewhere that I don't think any of us expected him to be. But he's in LA now, and I think that's going to really benefit him. And being with Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger, and just that whole staff, Dodgers are perennial favorites. So I'm gonna go with Freddie Freeman as my MVP. Cy Young Award, the other big one at the end of the year. Amanda, who do you got?
So for the American League, I'm going to go with Garrett Cole. I don't like to say it, but I will. He started throwing a cutter in spring training that really got the best of some of the batters that he faced, and I think if he can keep doing that, he was already a good pitcher last year. If he can add that to his arsenal and do it consistently, then I don't know who can compete with him necessarily in the American League as a whole. Obviously, other people could, but I think he could stand out. And as for the NL, I think I maybe say Corbin Burns again. He changed his style of pitching in the past few years, and I don't think that's just going to go away. And so if he stays as disciplined as he was, which it seems like he will, I think he's at least going to be up at the top. So,
Josh?
In the NL, I got Walker Buehler. He's been taking steps up recently, and he's had 2 top 10 finishes. I think this year he gets over the hump. He was 4th last year. He's one of the best younger pitchers in baseball. I'm going to go Walker Buehler there. And I'm going to go Garrett Cole in the AL. I don't like to say it, but he's probably been the most consistent pitcher in the AL the last few seasons. He's the safest pick, so I'm going to go Garrett Cole in the AL.
Yeah, I was going to go Walker Buehler, too. I love that pick. I think he finally agree with you. He gets over the hump. Another name to kind of throw out, Max Fried. I think he could have a really strong year as well in the NL. In the AL, come back to me. Kevin, you're up.
I'm going to go, let me start off. I also was going to say Walker Buehler. I think Walker Buehler finally, he's been the pitcher with the most potential. I mean, he was under the greatest pitcher of our lifetime in Clayton Kershaw. I think finally Walker puts it together, and I mean, I just think I love the way he commands the mound and just his presence on the mound. And he's a young kid too. He's got plenty of time to, even if he doesn't get it this season, to put it together. I'm super excited about his future. In the AL, I'm going to go Lucas Giolito. I think he comes back from injury. I think he has he adds that special little element that Chicago needed last season. And I think, he does it, and he comes back and has a great season.
Shane Bieber. That's what I was going to say as my AL. Cy Young. I just couldn't remember it because sometimes I just brain fart. Anyway, let's move on. NLCS predictions, ALCS predictions. Wild card's different, but maybe we'll touch on that. Maybe we won't. But let's predict the NLCS. Kevin, what's your NLCS?
I'm going to go Dodgers Brewers. I think, Dodgers are the clear favorite. And, really, I mean, it's pretty much a fight for second place. I mean, I don't think whoever gets in the NLCS will compete against the Dodgers, but I think it's going to be the Brewers. I think they're one of the most complete teams, one of the most well-rounded teams in baseball. So Dodgers Brewers.
Amanda?
I would also agree with the Dodgers, and I'm going to go with the Giants. I like the way the Giants are structured. They brought back some of their solid hitters. They have both Brandons. I think they know how to compete with the Dodgers. They have before, and I think it would just be really fun. So the Brewers might be right, but I would love to see Dodgers Giants again.
Josh?
I'm going Braves Dodgers. I just remembered, I think it's the third straight season, so now I'm not super confident about that. But I think the Braves and Dodgers are the clear two best teams in the NL, maybe in the major leagues as a whole. So I'm going to go with those two. I'm not incredibly confident about anyone in the NL Central. As much as I would love to see the Padres maybe beat the Dodgers, it's going to be really hard for them to do that in a 5-game series. So I'm going to go Dodgers and Braves.
Give me Dodgers Mets. I'm going to go completely from left field, and I know everybody in the studio right now does not like it. But, I mean, you could go Dodgers Brewers, you could go Dodgers Braves. Why not throw the Mets in there? I mean,
they're the Mets.
By the time that DeGrom gets back and, he's going to have plenty of time to adjust, Max Scherzer, Mark Canha, and plus, I mean, you look at the offense, they're just as good. I think Lindor has a bounce-back year. So I'm going to go Dodgers Mets. Kev, ALCS.
I'm going to go Toronto and Houston. Houston, although we can say everything about them, whether you like it or not, they've been the most consistent team and the best team in the past 5 years. I think they're going to find themselves again completely dominating the AL West and just sneak into that ALCS spot that they've found in the past couple years. With Toronto, I mean, Toronto's a younger team. They have all the big stars. Can they put it together? Josh talked about it earlier, the pitching. Will they be able to put it together? That's my question, but I think they do. So Toronto, Houston.
I'm going to go Toronto and the White Sox. I think that's going to be a super fun matchup, and I don't think I need to elaborate. We've talked so much about them. Amanda?
You stole my answer. Because we haven't really talked about the White Sox that much.
No, we really haven't.
I'm excited for them, and they scare me at the same time because that's how it always works. But pitching, hitting, they got new people over the off-season. And the Blue Jays are obviously the Blue Jays, like you just said. Very little explanation needed. But the White Sox, I think, are going to be someone really to watch through the whole season.
Josh?
I got the same thing. No bias either. I think the White Sox, they got their postseason experience last year. They're going to get over the hump this year. I think the Astros are trending downward. I think the White Sox get the 2 seed in the AL. They dismiss whoever they play in the divisional round. They got the postseason experience. Awesome bullpen. And as long as they don't get injured this season, it became like the Charlotte White Sox last year with their AAA team for half the summer. So as long as they don't get injured, I think the White Sox make it there. And like we've said the whole show, the Blue Jays, they have maybe they definitely have the best roster, I think, in the AL, so they just have to put everything together.
All right, World Series predictions and World Series champions. Josh, you're going to go last because there's a lot of pressure riding on you for this one. Kevin, start us off.
I'm going to go Dodgers, Toronto, but I don't think it's going to be close. I mean, I think it's pretty fair to say, just looking at the number one, at the leadoff hitter to the ninth, that the Dodgers are by far the best team and probably one of the best lineups we've ever seen. I mean, they just added Freddie Freeman and already have Mookie Betts.
So you're taking Dodgers in
I'm taking
4
Dodgers,
or 5.
yeah.
Amanda, what about you?
I'm not going to take the Dodgers because I like picking not the favorite team, I guess. So I'm going to go with the Giants and Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays are going to win overall because, like we've just talked about, and for the whole show, they are the Blue Jays, and I think they're finally going to get over that final barrier, and they know what it takes to win. They just have to do it now, and I think they will. I think the Giants are going to beat the Dodgers because I think the Dodgers have so much hype around them, but they actually have to produce, and it doesn't matter if you have a lineup full of stars. They have to work together, and they have to all be successful at the same time in the right way. And I think that that's not going to come entirely to fruition. So
I'm going to go, I said Mets in the NLCS, but I'm going to take the Padres, because why not? It's hypotheticals, right? I get it wrong every year anyway. So let's go Padres, and we'll go White Sox. I got White Sox in 7. Josh, a lot of pressure on you.
Now I'm nervous for my team, the White Sox. They might miss the playoffs now. All right,
They
so
might.
I'm feeling the pressure. I'm going to put the Dodgers in there. I think the Braves are great, but it's so hard to get back to another World Series. And I've played the Blue Jays, and I got the Blue Jays winning it all. Not a whole lot of postseason experience, but so much talent. I think they're going to get there, and they're going to win it.
Well, Josh, Amanda, Kevin, thank you so much for joining the show this week. That's going to do it for the Toss Up this week. Be sure to continue the discussion and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV Sports. With that, there's one thing left to do, so toss it up, find it if we'll catch it, and we'll see you next week.